Okay, gang, I'm going to do something today that I think needs to be addressed. I haven't seen any videos or any specifics that show how to install these emblems. And so I'm going to do my own interpretation. So I want you to follow along and see what you think. So I'm going to start off by saying these are emblems for a 65 Mustang. And these are from Scott Drake. You can probably read there, who is one of the best guys to do reproduction parts. And so this is the setup for the right fender, and I'm going to show you the left fender. And I've already gotten started on this. And now what I did is I went and I found another Mustang that was, it's fallen apart really. And let me show you pictures of it. There's the Mustang, and it's in really rough shape. And what I did is I took some measurements. That's from the back edge of the fender, and it's about 13.5 inches to the center of the pony, or the Mustang, however you want to say it. And then from the top, it's about 6 3/4 from basically the crease of the fender. So this is what I took pictures of, again from an original Mustang that I'm going to say is unmolested because it's rotting to pieces. So since I have those measurements, what I did is, get my camera to focus again. What I did is I took some tape here, and I made it square to this crease right here, to this body line, because that is parallel to the ground, at least from what I can tell. So I made this piece of tape parallel to that, and then I added these pieces. Okay. Now the tricky part is the fender is not straight. It actually curves up, has a slight angle, and then kicks back. So it's going to be hard to find, let's say, a 0 from this edge all the way down, so you can tell if the emblem is square or not. So what I did is I took a combination square, and since I already have a straight line from this body line here up, I took it and laid it on the tape and drew a straight line. So now I have a line that I can reference, and you can see, hopefully see, that there's a difference from this edge to here. It may not be much, but it's enough that it can throw you off. Okay, so I know now that my measurement that I recorded, I believe it was 13 inches to the center. So now I have a place to put the horse or the emblem. And I also have, because I know that the height from the body line, or the distance from here to the top of it, was 6 3/4, I drew a line there, and then I drew a line for center. So now, after taking the everything out of the package, you can see it's got the post sticking out. So I took the emblem, and I set it on the tape, and then I pressed on it. And what that did is left 4 little marks or indentations that I then came back and took a Sharpie and just put a dot in each one of those. So I'm very comfortable with that being the location for this emblem. And if you look at it, and hopefully nothing throws you off by looking at it with the shadows and different things, but that'll give me the location for the front part of the emblem. And then the second part, and I can refer back to my pictures, it'll go down in this area. And so I can get a good reference, at least top to bottom, and kind of eyeball it from left to right so that I can get it close to the proper location. Now what I found is that there were 3 different manufacturing plants, and each one of them did a different, let's say one did a better job than the other 2, and one did a really bad job. And I don't remember which plant was which, but a lot of these from the factory were crooked, or in a different location. And same way with the Mustang lettering, you could have been running downhill or uphill. So I'm going to try not to make sure that doesn't happen here, and I'll get everything square based on this body line. So I'm comfortable with that. let me get some holes drilled, and then I'll move on to getting the actual Mustang lettering placed. Okay, hopefully this makes a little more sense. There's the picture that I took, and again I took those, showed the other measurements, but from the top of this emblem to this body line was 6 3/4 inches. From the edge parallel to the center of this was 13.5 inches. And again, I showed you how to come back and do some measuring to get everything square. And then for the Mustang word, I came off of this line 2 5/8 inches, which I think is right in line with this one. If you look, you can see the gap between the horsetail and the word, and I think that's pretty accurate. Of course, this moves a little bit. So, from what I understand, the little inserts are supposed to be 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to drill 1/8 of an inch hole, and I'm not going to put the inserts in until everything is painted. If I have to, I'll run a drill back through and then touch up the paint with some self-etch so that there's no rust issues, because I wouldn't want to put those inserts in and then paint over top of them. That's just not a good idea. So hopefully this makes sense and gives you some information. And just to show you this reference, I measured, if you can see, the very little shoulder of this snap clip, and it comes out at about 0.12, I don't know, 128, 126. So that makes sense that you would drill it with an 1/8 inch drill bit or a 0.125, and that way when it drops in, the little shoulder that's there will snap in and hold it in place. And there's the end result. As you can see, that lines up pretty well with this body line, and it looks very similar to the location of Mustang per the tail as in the picture that I had shown originally. So I'm very happy with it. Again, these are just sitting in there. I did not put the clips in. The clips will come in after paint. Like I said, you don't want to paint with the clips in. So I may have to come back in when it's all finished and clean those holes out a little bit to get the clips in, and then obviously put in the emblems. So at this point, I've got the fenders done. I've got everything else done, the side moldings and that sort of thing, and I even have my fender antenna hole done, and that worked out really well. So at this point, I'm done with this stuff, and the next thing I get to do is paint. So hopefully tomorrow I can unmask this thing and start prepping for final paint work. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching.